Are you ready for high-speed motorsports talk about your local short track? You've come to the right place. Get ready to hear from some of the top stars of Seekonk Speedway right here on the Race Day Rewind podcast series. We'll hear it all, from pure excitement to disappointment of coming so close, the frustrations of contact on the track, and the thrill of winning a race or a championship. The Seekonk Speedway podcast series is a production of Souza Media. Now let's get to the show. All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Seekonk Speedway podcast series and the Action Track podcast here, Race Day Rewind edition. Coming up right here, we're going to talk about the Fast Friday racing from Friday, July 22nd, and the NASCAR Saturday racing from Saturday, July 23rd. A great 2 nights of racing once again at the Third Mile Oval. On the final segment, we are going to preview the upcoming second annual Bay State Classic, which is set up for Wednesday, July 27th. $10,000 to win is on the line for the Pro All-Star Series. We've also got the Legend Cars in a very special race there, and the Past Modifieds joining in on that show. There's a lot to come here on this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind. I want to thank everybody for listening as we are back for another edition of the recap series. Of course, we are in the middle of the summer here. We're getting closer and closer to the inaugural Seekonk Speedway Drive for the Cup presented by Sunoco Race Fuel. For those of you not aware, that's coming up in September. It will be the weekend of September 9th and 10th, September 16th and 17th, and we will crown our 2022 champions on September 23rd and 24th. There's a lot to talk about here, so let's get to work. Let's start with our Fast Friday program, which took place on Friday, July 23rd. Another good night of racing overall at the Third Mile. I'm going to welcome in Brady here as always, who's going to talk us through the Fast Friday series with me. And let's start off, Brady, with the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits. Another good race here for this division, and really when you take a look at the final results of this one, a little bit more of a diverse group at the front of the field than what we're used to here so far in 2022. And the checkered flag falls. It's Rodney Dowles picking up his first career win at Seekonk Speedway. Second place was Colin Vaness, his first podium finish of the season since all the way back on opening night where he finished third. He grabs second in this one. And Sam Macedo, the Green Hornet, grabs third for the second straight week. So a couple different storylines here, Brady. Of course, you got the front of the field with Dowles and Vanessa and Macedo, but you've also got Krantz, who's leading this race, and his tire falls off. And that's kind of a wild scene there. At least, especially for me, being up on the flag stand with the tire bouncing all over the place. But one of the more wild scenes I think we've seen here to decide the winner of a race here in a while in a Bandolero division.
Yeah, it was an upset, right? Like, it's clear as day. It was a clear as day upset. And Krantz had this race in the bag, I feel like. And then, 5 to go and, lost tire. You don't see that every day, but Dowles had started up in the front half of the field and worked his way out, worked the inside very, very well all race. And I think, Colin starting on the outside pole helped because no matter what, he was going to finish podium. So I think, and I don't say, obviously he could have fallen back, but, I mean, he was keeping up with Darren all race long, Vanessa Motorsport, they had a really good car. At least on Colin's side of things, Brian had some engine issues, I know, just about all race. But, Colin was almost a lock for podium finish no matter what. And then Rodney came in, swiped the lead. It was the fourth lap. Fourth lap to go. I was like, wow, a lot of credit to him because, he's a hard-working kid, a good kid, fully deserves the win. Sam Macedo, we all know he had that scary crash a few weeks ago. Now 2 consecutive third-place finishes. He's on the right track. And, Melania Shalowski, you get a feel for Melania Shalowski Motorsports because they've had some engine issues over the past couple weeks, and unfortunately Melania hasn't found herself typically where she is on the podium. But, Glenn and the folks over there, I think they're going to get that car back up and rolling. Krantz as well, the Krantz family, it's just a minor setback for them. He still leads in the point standings. Melania's second still. I think come Friday, we'll I think it'll be back to the old ways for Darren Krantz and Melania Schlosky.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see both of those drivers back deciding, the race for the feature win coming up on another Friday night, whether it's this Friday or another night down the stretch. Of course, I think in the playoffs you're really going to see that. But overall, I think that when you look at this Bandolero race specifically, it was one of our weirder Bandolero races we've seen in a while. I mean, tire falling off is I don't want to say it's unheard of, but it pretty much is unheard of. I mean, we've had tires fall off race cars before, but yeah, crazy what went on in that 15-lap feature. A lot to digest there after 15 laps. But it was the first time this year and the first time in his Seekonk Speedway career for Ronnie Della. So congratulations to him, a big winner in the 15-lap feature. Again, Colin Van Ness second, Sam Macedo was third. Take a look at the championship standings in the Bandits. Remember, in the Bandolero divisions, it's 6 drivers that make the playoff system. 6th right now is Bryson Robideau. He leads Nick Uring Jr. by 10 points in that battle there. That is going to go right down to the wire to decide the top 6. Krantz is still the points leader overall at this point of the season, and Melania Schlosky is second. Sam Macedo runs in the 3rd spot in the number 16. So Bandolero Bandits will be back on the track, of course, coming up on Friday, July the 29th. Moving on to the Outlaw division on Friday, their 15-lap Bandolero main event. This one, again, kind of weird the way it played out and how things shook out at the end of 15 laps. But for the second time this season, Chase Sylvia did not win a race. We've had 8 races in the Outlaws. Sylvia's now won 6 of them. He did finish second in this one, but Bradley Strickland picks up the big win behind the wheel of the number 50 and, the number 84. He made 50 points is what I was looking at. Car number 84. Bradley Strickland takes the big win. And for those fans who are not aware, I want to spend a second on this because this is a really big deal overall in the Speedway and across really all of short track racing. Bradley's dad served in the military in Afghanistan. First of all, we have to really thank him for his service and everything he did for our country. And he was unfortunately part of an explosion that gave him an injury that he's going to have for the rest of his life while he was out there in the military. And that anniversary of the explosion was 15 years ago to the day that Bradley Strickland picked up his first career win in the Seacock Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws. This is a really cool story, Brady, and sometimes things work out how they should. Remember 2 or 3 weeks ago on a Saturday night, we had just lost Tom Scully Sr., and Tom Scully Jr. goes out there and picks up the win. That's something that I consider the racing gods kind of did what needed to be done in the world of racing for these things to happen. And in this case, another really cool story at the Speedway that we're used to hearing over the years, but this is certainly a special moment for them. And Bradley's been close all year, as you know, Brady, to getting his first career win.
It was definitely an emotional moment, and you could sense it, right? I wasn't aware that it was 15, 16, however many years it was today. I wasn't aware. I just knew that it meant a lot because, they put a lot of work into the car, and Bradley had come so close so many times. And then afterwards I realized, because I know, and I was aware of Chris and his accident, but I didn't realize it was 16 years to the day. So I was like, oh, wow, like that, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it really does.
Opinion,
right? It really does.
You Brock Scully is the same thing. Everything happens for a reason. And I think, Bradley started top 5 and really just worked his way. He didn't give anything, right? Just foot to the pedal. A lot of cars were loose off of turn 4 in that race, and Bradley was not one of them. Really good control on the machine. And, you're talking about Chase Sylvia, too. I mean, I'll jump to him for a second. Not like he ran a bad race. I mean, when you start 8th and you finish 2nd, I mean, it's pretty good. But he was saying, I almost passed him, but, right on the inside, he blocked it, couldn't get there fast enough. And I just think overall, these are 2 drivers come season's end, come playoff time, season's end. I can't believe that's, just about only a month away before we hit the Sunoco drive for the Cup. You're talking about 2 drivers that are going to really, you're going to put their names in there to make noise in the drive for the Cup.
Yeah, I mean, those two guys are definitely going to be part of the conversation when it comes time to crown the champion. Now, Bradley, when you look at the championship battle, he missed 1 week due to, I believe it was a wedding the family attended that night. And remember, it's 6 drivers in the Bandolero divisions that make the playoffs. And Bradley has climbed his way back in. He had fallen out, but he's now 6th. 6 points up on Adam Harrison. Mikey LaFour is 2 points ahead of him. So that's going to be a tight battle there to see who makes the top 6 in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero divisions across both of them. But Strickland's got a big win here, a really cool moment. Second, you mentioned, was Chase Sylvia, another great run for him. Obviously, he has a lot of speed this year. Mikey LaFour picked up his first podium behind the wheel of the Helgers Racing, number 19, so a good run for him, finishing at 3rd. 4th was Andrew Gomes, who's also getting closer to his first career win, and I can see that happening before the end of the year. And Adam Harrison finished the top 5. And another top 5 for Harrison, that's 4 in a row. Behind the wheel of the 47, I could also see him getting to victory lane here before long. Let's move on to the Everett Auto Parts Sport 4 division and their race on Friday night. Picking up his second win of the season was Carlin Levesque behind the wheel of the red number 44. Carlin chasing down the leader in this one, who is Ron Gajowski, and he gets around him without too much of issue behind the wheel of the number 44, and Carlin drives away to victory in the final laps in this one. 25 laps was the distance, and Carlin Levesque, for the second time in 2022, is a feature winner at Seekonk Speedway. Congratulations to him and his team behind the wheel there in the 44. They've had a lot of speed this year, and really overall able to come out and pick up the big win, which is a big boost in confidence as well for them, especially when you're able to do it for the second time this season. So congrats to Carlin, picks up the win. Second place in this one going to Gajowski in the number 27, his best career run behind the wheel, and really impressive performance for him. Third place was Crystal Murray, who, no surprise here again for Crystal, on the podium. She's finished podium in every single race except one, so congratulations to Crystal for getting the job done in the number 38. And when you take a look at the championship battle behind the wheel of the number 38, she is the points leader. She leads by 6 over Tyler Duhanchik. Carlin Levesque now with his win is up to 3rd. 8 drivers in the Sport 4 division make that playoff cut. Stephanie Bruno is 7th. She's 6 points ahead of the cut. Right now on the bubble is Christine, I like that word, the bubble. Christine Cavallero's on the bubble right now in the 87. She holds an 8-point advantage over Daniel Hayes and 12 over Justin LeDuc. So watch out for the Sport 4 division here. We'll talk a lot more about the playoffs as it gets closer. Brady, the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, also raced on Friday night. And a Brightman name gets back to victory lane. Really, I'm jumping ahead for a second, but really overall this weekend, a Brightman kind of weekend at Seekonk Speedway. You had it on Saturday night, Mighty Mike picks up his 3rd win of the season in the Pro Stocks. On Friday, Nick Brightman gets his first career win in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman, Pure Stock division on Friday. And Brady again, Brightman family, they've got it figured out so far in 2022. Nick's come close before, but nothing like this. It was kind of clear, in my opinion, when the race was going on, that this was going to be really his race, and it was when you look at the end of the 25-lap feature.
It was quite the weekend for Brightman Motorsports, and I mean, Nick with his first career win, it was about time, because he's had so many. He's got unlucky a couple times, and in qualifying as well, he's come close many times. With good, top 12, top 10 finishes. But I think a good start is when he needed. He had a really good round of qualifying. Car looked consistently good. We were joking around. I was up joking around with you on the flag stand. I could just tell, that's a black and orange 5 looks really good today. Better than it had all season, and it showed in the feature.
Yeah, a great run overall, and a good race here again for the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stock division. Really a good show once again, and overall, this division's been one of our better as far as exciting racing this year. All of our divisions put on a good show, but when you see the Pure Stocks roll out, you know it's going to be a good race, and it was again on Friday night. So congrats to that team, and a big win for Nick Brightman. Of course, 2nd place, Greg Perry. 3rd place, Danny Massa. 4th place in this one going to Jordan Threlfall, and Sammy Lincoln with another good run to round out the top 5 behind the wheel of the number 34. So you take a look at the championship standings in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks. The aforementioned Danny Massa is the leader. He leads by a comfortable 34 over Sammy Lincoln in this division. Of course, the playoffs in this division as well is the top 8. And you take a look at that 8th spot. Right now, Ethan Souza leads Jared Kudeta by 6 points in the final race for the top 8. So that one's going to go right down to the wire as well. Timmy Olette's only 12-point back. To me, it's really a 3-man race there for one spot. Ethan Souza, Jared Kudeta, and Timmy Olette are the drivers we'll have to watch there in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks as we go down the stretch run of the season. Only other race on Friday night was the Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars. 25 laps to the distance for them. And Brady, no surprise to me here that Isaiah Nukem picks up his first career Seacock win. I think there's been a couple times this year where we said, you know, it's Isaiah's race to lose and he wasn't able to seal it. But this time, really no doubting that he was going to be the guy there picking up the win for the first time.
I feel like it was not a surprise because he's come so close. But at the same time, I feel like it was a surprise because that division has been hot all season long. And when I say hot, I mean there's so many guys. Well, there's 3 guys that have won a race this year: Brendan Hammond, Devin Deshays, and Mason Tessier. But there's so many guys who are not only fully deserving, but they come really, really close. Richie Helger, you know, Nukem, Nick Bulkley, to name a few. And I think Nukem, again, it's a deserved win, controlled the race, all, 25, all 20, 30 laps. I don't even remember. It's too early. That's really not. It is what it is. 30 laps? I don't remember.
I think it was 25 this week. We get confused.
I should remember, and I don't.
The reason Brady's confused is because we have the Triple Crown races on Friday, and basically it's 5 extra laps. So
That's right.
This one was a 25. I've just confirmed that. So 25 laps 25. For him to get the win.
Okay, that's why. But anyway, no. Nukem, again, he's one of those drivers, right? And I've been talking to the Helder family, and they're the same way because Rich's come close a few times. I've asked them. I said, why do you guys consistently top 5 at other places? Waterford, Loudon, Thompson, wherever. But you're not top 5 here. Like, they try to serve or whatever. I said, okay, understandable. But it's like, yeah, we're gonna get there. I said, well, yeah, you're eventually down to get there. And look at Isaiah Nukem. Ran a great car, and he got there. And Kyle, this will not be the last time we see Isaiah Nukem in victory lane this season.
Yeah.
I think he wins at least 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been so good this year that it would be hard to count him out of any race. Never mind a weekly show. It's going to be hard to count him out of this big race coming up on Wednesday, which we'll touch on a little bit later as well. But overall, another good race for the Legends. They had some rough points there at certain times, but another good race. Great run for second for Devin Deshays. He's kind of been the overall dominant force in this division. Consistency this season has been on his side again. He leads the championship by a healthy margin over Reese Bogue. Brendan Hammond and Isaiah Nukem are now tied for 3rd. Mason Tessier is 5th in the championship. Now, Mason finished 2nd in this one, and Deshays was 3rd, excuse me. So Mason got 2nd, Deshays was 3rd, and Mason had 2 wins in the previous 2 weeks. So you really 2 wins in a row, and then a 2nd place finish. So it really an impressive run for Mason Tessier behind the wheel of the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Racing number 42. To be able to do what he's done the last couple of weeks is very impressive, and he's going to be a threat here going down the stretch. So you take a look at the top 8. Right now in 8th is Josh Parsons. He leads by only 2 points over Jake Sylvia. Richie Helger Jr. is 10th in the championship. Right now he is 20 points out. But that is going to go right down to the wire in that division, and I can see that champion not being decided until basically the last day of the playoff setting. So the last weekend in August we're going to set the fields, and I could see that being the race where we decide which of these 8 guys is going to get in, because it is that close right now in the Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars. We're going to take a break here on this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind. Brady's not done yet. He's going to come back and join us in the final segment. I'm going to welcome in Sam, who's going to help us walk through the Saturday night racing, which took place on Saturday, July 23rd. Stick with us. Quick break. We'll be right back. All right, you heard a little bit of music, ladies and gentlemen, and we took a quick break, grabbed something to drink, and man, parched over here. A lot of talking today on the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Action Track Podcast. Thanks to Brady for joining us in the first segment. We'll catch back up with him in just a moment for the final segment, but now we're going to welcome in Sam Tully, who is our co-Saturday announcer, Friday handicapper, and he's gaining some other jobs now, too, at the Speedway. So happy to have Sam on board here in 2022. He's going to help me to walk through the racing that took place on Saturday, July 23rd. And Sam and I had talked about how there hadn't really been a Saturday night race, it felt like, in a while for him. He was not with us 1 week prior and came back here. It basically had been a month since the last time he called a Saturday night race. We only had 2 of them in the month of July. And Sam, let's start off from last Saturday in the Chaz's Auto Body Sport Trucks. And for the first time this year, Amy Arsenal drives the Moe's Moving number 9 into victory lane, and a very impressive run here for a lot of different reasons, but she's been so close behind the wheel of that number 9 so far this year, and really, Sam, it all just came together here for her, starting at the front, no cautions, able to get out front and really just dominate this race to pick up her first win of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It finally all clicked and came together for Amy this week. Again, green to checkered for the second week in a row in the Chaz's Auto Body Sport Truck Division. And sitting up there in the tower, I honestly tried to say Amy's name as few times as possible at the lead. I did not want to jinx or anything. Commentators curse. I wanted nothing to do with that. So as that white flag came out and then the checkered and she crossed the line first, it was I'm sure definitely a huge relief for her. Of course, she's battled a lot of adversity this year, led quite a few laps already this season, but really to no avail. So finally for her to punch it in, get her first win of the season, must feel great for her. And it showed. I mean, in that post-race interview, she was just so excited, shaking with excitement. So really great to see that number 9 truck get into victory lane for the first time, and there's still plenty of racing this season, so we could see that number 9 truck in the top step again before the season's over.
Yeah, I mean, we very well could. She's been so fast, and it's not her first career win. She's won before, but an emotional moment, I think, for her. And let's say that overall, Amy is one of our more emotional drivers when she wins, and it kind of has a deeper story here than just on the surface. Obviously, you're emotional to pick up a win, but she had a off season where she donated a kidney, and I know most of the fans will remember that, to Rich Helger, and she went through a long recovery, obviously giving up one of her kidneys, and overall she was able to rebound, get through it, and come out here and race this season, and she's able to get her first win of the year. So cool story there, obviously, for her to get to victory lane. Congrats to the driver of the Moe's Moving number 9 to get to victory lane for the first time in 2022. And second place in this one, Sam, of course, in the sport trucks was Rick Martin, coming up 1 spot short of another victory. He's already got 3 this year. He's going to be back again for the next race, trying to make it 4. And in the third spot at the end of that main event for the sport trucks was Barry Shaw. So a couple guys on the podium, Shaw and Martin, that know how to win here, obviously, in 2022. Fourth place in the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks went to Jake Veneta, who hasn't won yet, but's been real close. And in the 5th spot was Mike Duarte, who's been top 5 a lot of the year. Take a look at the 8 in the trucks. Right now, 8th place, Tom Scully III, leads it by 20 points. Excuse me, less than that, 19 points over Jake Veneta. It's going to come down to Tom Scully III versus Jake Veneta for that final spot in the trucks. You take a look, we've got all of the month of August to go before the playoff field is set. So that leaves let me do some quick math here. 1, 2, 3, 4 races in August to decide the final 8 drivers who will make it. That is going to be interesting to see who gets in the top 8. Of course, at the top of the standings, Rick Martin leads by 3 over Barry Shaw and 9 over Brittany Campbell. Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman were also on the track. And for the first time in his career on the track, Randy Moretti picked up the win in the number 5. Unfortunately for him, Moretti did not pass post-race technical inspection. That handed the win over to our second-place finisher, Scotty Seredinsky Jr. And Sam, unfortunate situation there for Moretti. Picked up his first career Sportsman win, did not pass inspection. However, also Scotty Seredinsky Jr. did lead the whole race, loses the lead there in the final lap or two. And in a weird way, redemption for him, right? His car was legal, and he gets through inspection, and he ends up with his first win of the season. And I think they've had an up and down year overall, but he's been fast, and we know that for sure, and gets the win here. This is one of those unfortunate things where somebody doesn't make it through inspection, but overall, for Seredinsky, big deal for him to get his first win of the year.
Yeah, sure was. And, you put it best that Seredinsky, he was the best car on track that was legal, So, of course, no one ever wants to win a race like that. They want to be the one standing on top of the podium, waving the checkered flag. No one wants to find out post-race that, okay, you're going to be deemed the winner. But, hey, at the end of the day, points are points. And Scott Seredinsky Jr. went out there and had a maximum points day. Walked away from Saturday with 55 points, won his heat, so got 5 points for that, and then walked away with the top prize of 50 points for the feature. So that is really good for him as far as the points race goes, because he was able to lift himself 3 spots in the chase for the cup, or whatever you want to call it. He'd been dancing around the bubble for quite a bit the last few weeks. He'd been on the outside looking in for a couple of weeks, finally got into 8th. Now sees himself in 5th, tied with Steve Axon, 5th and 6th at 337 points, with about 40 points to the good of the bubble. So that was huge for him as far as points battle, little bit of insulation, but it's still super tight between those last 4 positions, which I'm sure you're going to walk through here in a moment. But really great to see that number 22 have another strong run. I know how much he's wanted to win this season, and he finally got it. So great showing for the 22 this weekend.
Yeah, I think, there's this old saying in racing, you take them however you can get them. And in this case, I think same type of thing. He goes out there, he gets the job done on the track, finishes second, and you said it best. First legal car gets the win. And it's just sometimes the way it goes in racing. It's not a knock to Randy Moretti. We've had winners in the past get disqualified in inspection. That's life. It's part of short track racing. It's part of short track racing across the country. There are going to be disqualifications from time to time for cars that do not meet the rules. And in this case, Seredinsky, some people would say the beneficiary of the DQ, but I don't like to word it that way. He didn't benefit from anything. He got the job done and put himself in position to take advantage of it. So, Seredinsky, the big winner in this one. Second place, Ed Perry. Third place, Craig Bianca. In the final results, Chad Baxter got 4th, and Steve Axon was 5th. You mentioned that championship battle. Right now, Tyler Almeida is 8th. He leads by 24 over Adam Petty. Jimmy Pepe Sylvia is 10th. He's a little bit further back, so really, to me, it's going to come down to Tyler Almeida versus Adam Petty, unless somebody like Colby Lambert or Steve Axon or Seredinsky really have a couple of bad weeks. Your top 4 in the championship, Bianca, Perry, Baxter, and Benoit. I'm going to go on record right now and say they're locked in. They're not going to get knocked out. Perry, Bianca, Baxter, and Benoit will battle for the championship in 2022. Now it's going to come down to Seredinsky, Axon, Lambert, Almeida, and Petty. 4 spots there are going to be part of the playoffs. There's 5 drivers I named. So that's going to be interesting to watch here as we get down to the stretch run and see who makes the drive for the Cup. Let's move on to the late model division. 30 laps for them as part of our Saturday night program last week. And how about a big hand for your feature winner for the second time this year? Chase Belcher in the Everett's Auto Parts number 35 gets to victory lane. And Sam dominating here overall really for Belcher. I don't want to kind of make that seem like everybody else wasn't out there competing with him, but Chase had the good car in this one. They got to the front quickly, passing Jeremy Lilly for the lead, and he was not going to be denied there in those final couple restarts, holding off Mark Jennison, who's been very close to winning in the late models. I know he won in the Pro Stocks a little bit ago, but very close in the late models. And third place in this one was Paul Wallier. One of our better late model races, and I say that often, but this division continues to put on one of the best shows that you'll see anywhere in New England, and a similar story here in their 30-lap feature.
Yeah, this win for Belcher couldn't have come at a better time. Great bounce back performance from the race a week ago for the 35 team. Chase Belcher finished 15th, which was last in the field a week ago. So to be able to bounce back and get his second win of this season is really, really important, especially as we look at the point standings. The late model division is our tightest points race across our 4 Saturday night divisions. Just about 50 points, not even 50 points, 47 points divide our top 8 drivers. So certainly the closest race for points is right here in the late model division. And to be able to get a win over a couple of red hot drivers, especially you mentioned Mark Jennison. He's been in the top 3 the last 3 weeks running. He's been definitely a mover and a shaker towards the top of the leaderboard in the points. But yeah, definitely a good showing for Chase Belcher in the 35 car this past weekend.
Yeah, a great run there behind the wheel, the number 35. Another driver who has had a successful run here, finishing in the second spot in this one, was Jennison, as we mentioned. Lallier was third. Richie Murray was fourth. And fifth place in the late model main event was Jeremy Lilly. So late models continue to do it, man. Car count was a little bit lower this week for a couple of different reasons. But they continue, no matter what the car count is, no matter who's out there, they put on a hell of a show. And that's really what matters, obviously, to all of you fans as well. So congrats to Chase. 2 wins on the year. No slouch there. That is not easy to do in the late model division, given all the competition that is out there. So 2 feature wins now for Chase. Never know what's going to happen here as we get closer to the playoffs. 8th place right now. Jeremy Lilly is 44 points above Josh Hedges on the cut line. Josh has been out of town, not even in the state, doing some work out in the middle part of the country. And he has unfortunately really knocked himself out of the playoffs while doing that. Obviously not, and not knocking him, because he's got to do what he's got to do. However, unfortunately, he's kind of pushed himself out of the playoff cycle. So 8 drivers in the late models, to me, is pretty well set. It'll be Murray, Jennison, Arenagato, DeCaspari, Belcher, Burns, Lallier, and Lilly. Barring an issue, crazier things have happened in the world, but those are probably going to be your 8 drivers to race for the championship in 2022. Sam, only other race on Saturday was the Pro Stocks. I don't want to kind of glaze over this, but one of our rougher Pro Stock races I think we've seen in a while for a variety of reasons. I don't blame the guys that were blocking is the wrong word. I don't want to use blocking, but it was a very aggressive race up front to hold your position. And in my opinion, if you're in the lead, you have to hold the bottom groove. You have to do whatever possible to not let the other driver by you. For a fan's perspective, very entertaining race. I was thrilled to watch it as a fan. As a driver and team perspective, I know there's a little bit of frustration about how everybody was racing each other out there. But again, as a fan, phenomenal race. Mike Brightman beats Tom Scully Jr. by a mere inches. I mean, this was a close race in the Pro Stock division. Brightman takes down the win. Second place going to Scully. And boom. I mean, third place in this one goes to Tyler Tomasi. Prior to inspection, unfortunately, inspection gets him again in the Pro Stock division. Again, for the second time on this night, we have an inspection failure. So Tomasi does not finish in third spot. That moves up to the third position, picking up 46 points of the night. Dave Darling. Mark Jennison finished in fourth, and fifth was Colby Fournier. Pro Stock Championship battle. Sam, right now Kenny Spencer leads Rick Martin by 14 points. Spencer's had an awful year. I don't think there's any other way to describe that. An awful year for Kenny Spencer. He's still in the top 8 right now, 14 points up on Martin. Ryan Van Ness missed this race on Saturday due to some damage to his race car. He's 23 behind the cut. Sam, Mike Brightman's got 3 wins this year. Dave Darling is second in points, only 1 point behind him. I know Darling hasn't won a ton of races like he's used to, but those 2 guys have been the dominant force here, and I'm not sure when we get to that final race of the season and you bolt tires on these cars and send them out there for 40 laps, it'll be 50, I think, in the final race of the playoffs. I have no idea who's going to win. I really don't. And I think when you look at it, that's what excites me about it. Dave Darling's been kind of the champion before the last night even comes around the last couple years. Here, I have no idea who's going to win. I really don't, Sam, and I think that's what makes this playoff system so exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I think the last few races of the season are going to be, once we get to playoff time, they're going to be a totally different animal. This new format allows teams, it doesn't matter what division, across all four, certainly the strategies being played. You're biding your time, you're saving your tires, you're working within the tire shortage landscape that we're in to just make sure you're sitting to the good in the top 8. And once you get to those last 3 weeks, as long as you're in the playoff chase, all bets are off, right? You throw everything you have at the wall, see what sticks. I'm sure those guys are going to be coming out each week running. I mean, I don't know what the tire counts are going to look like once you get to the last 3 weeks, but, if they have 4 sticker tires, you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to be running them. So I think the races are going to be there's a lot of different ways you could describe.
Yes.
But hey, they're going to be great shows, right? And you could argue that at the end of the day, that's the most important thing as far as the success and the growth of this sport, at least from the spectators' point of view and the marketability point of view. I know is a huge aspect, but putting on these races is not an easy thing. Obviously, you want everyone to walk away from the track happy. Fans, teams, drivers, all included. But one thing's for sure, it's definitely going to be exciting racing once we get down to close to the playoffs, and certainly once we get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't want to overstate it. I really have no idea who's going to win. And some of these other divisions, like you back up to Friday, let's just say in the Sport 4 division, I think it's probably down between Crystal Murray, Tyler Duhanchik, Carlin Levesque, and Jared Freitas. Like there's probably 4 guys there, guys or girls, that I can say, yeah, those guys are probably going to race for the championship. Bandolero Outlaws, same thing. Chase Sylvia, I'd be shocked if he isn't in the Final Four and isn't racing for the championship. Pro Stock, I got no idea. And that doesn't happen often. For those of you that know me, I really can probably give you a decent opinion of what I think is going to happen, but I have absolutely zero idea what the heck is going to happen here. No idea at all who is going to win these championships. It's just what it is. I have no idea. And that's what makes it so exciting for me. So let's see what happens over the course of the next couple weeks. They're going to be, let's use this term, hella exciting. I just made that up. Hella exciting. And boy, I am excited to see how that goes. I have a feeling the final night of the season is going to be rather hectic. And let me also inform everybody that the final night of the season on both Fast Friday and NASCAR Saturday, you can buy tickets to that night already at SeekonkSpeedway.com. Kyle Souza, who you are listening to right now, will not be at the track for the final weekend. I will be getting married, which is a very, obviously, amazing day. But I will miss the final races of the season, so it is up to Brady and Sam to recap that for you at the track. And the following week, of course, I will hand them over the podcast equipment if they're willing, and they will kind of walk you through the champions and what took place. But with that, let's take a break, and we're going to do one more quick segment here on this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. I want to preview the upcoming Bay State Classic for the Pro All-Star Series Super Late Models, the Nick's Pit Stop Legends and the iNext Legends Nicholas Scholar Summer Showdown, and the Past Modified. So, quick break. We'll be right back. Brady and Sam are both going to stick with me, and we will wrap everything that we've had happen, and go over what is coming up here in the next coming couple of days. Stick with us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more segment here. A couple quick minutes here to preview what is coming up here on Wednesday night, July the 27th. This is going to be a big race, ladies and gentlemen. The $10,000 to win Pro All-Star Series main event for the PAS division, the Pro Stocks. Of course, this is going to be a mix between the Seacock regulars that you see on our Saturday night and the weekly division drivers from the Pro All-Star Series that are coming in from across the some of them from across the couple states that are coming down And Brady, let's start with me and you here before we welcome Sam back in. Let's talk about this special Legends car race that's going to be part of the show this week. This is the Nicholas Scola Racing Summer Showdown. It's going to be a 35-lap race, and there are going to be $2,000 on the line to the winner of the main event. And Sam, I'll leave you for a second and have Brady give his opinion on this. 35 laps, $2,000 to win, Brady. Oh my God, hella good might be the way to describe how this one's going to be. Could be crazy. Might be a better way to describe it. Two grand's a lot of money for legend cars. That's more than we pay to win a pro stock race on a Saturday night. What do you? I don't know. Do you know, Brady, what you think you might see in this one? Because I have no idea on this either. This is going to be absolutely insanity to race for $2,000.
Tell me you're a millennial without telling me you're a millennial. And another thing too, whenever you're ready to hand over that podcast equipment, I'm ready. Just putting
There
it
you go.
out there.
Perfect.
All right. With that said, what to expect? Aggressiveness. The highest payout in New England for these drivers. You're going to see, I think, a hunger, a determination, and a focus like we'll never see before. Isaiah Nukem, Devin DeShays, Reese Bogue, Mason Tessier, just 4 of the names that will be battling for this purse. It can rise to $5,000. It's the top purse in New England this season. What to expect? Again, a lot of aggressiveness. Who do I think is going to win? I think Devin DeShays is going to win.
Okay.
He's few good runs. He's had his few wins this year. Had a couple good runs the last couple weeks, finishing just behind Mason Tessier. My heart is telling me Reese Bogue, because nobody deserves it more. Because he's come so close so many times, and he's overdue for his first win. But my gut and my head is telling me Devin DeShays. Just because, I mean, it's a good car every week. It's a fast car every week. And if they could, they could put a little, legally, obviously, he hasn't broken any rules, but legally, if you could put it a little over the edge, I think I'm going to give the edge to Devin. I think Devin wins. Devin, I don't know who's going to come second and third. We'll see.
Well,
I think Tessier will finish. I think Tessier and Nukem will finish top 5, though.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an insane. I really do say insanity. I think it's going to be complete insanity across the board.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to underestimate what this is going to be. It's going to be insanity. I think there's a lot of different guys that could win. You mentioned a couple. There might be a couple guys that come down for this race that haven't raced Seacock yet this year, that are always fast, that could be competition. Insanity is the best way to describe what this is going to be, ladies and gentlemen. 35 laps, $2,000 to win, $5,000 throughout the field. Going to be a good one. Sam, the past modifieds are also going to be on this card for the first time in this 2022 season, the first and only visit to Seekonk for them. Last year, Ryan Ripley picked up the win. They put on a great race last year, clean and green, so I expect to see a lot of that again here in 2022 for their main event. And then you've got this big $10,000 to win super late model race. Pass was just at the track about a month ago's time, and they put on a heck of a show once again. Johnny Clark picked up the win. Angelo Belcito, to me, was more of the local favorite in this one. A former track champion in our weekly Pro Stocks goes out there and runs well. Comes up just short of winning. He had to go to the rear in this one after some contact, and he's able to rebound and get back to the front and finish in the runner-up spot. But Johnny Clark, Sam, might be the favorite here. I know we've got Dave Darling. I know we've got Gabe Brown. I know we've got everybody else that's part of this battle, but I'm a little bit conflicted on who's going to win $10,000. There's a lot of names here that could do it, and a mix of Seekonk former champions, a mix of past regulars, Johnny Clark, Angelo Belcito. You got a guy like Jake Johnson's coming off a tri-track modified win last weekend, returning to the pro stock ranks and is a former track champion. I don't know, Sam. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen in this one either. Could see 4, 5, 6 different drivers winning, and that's why we run the races now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Last time Pass visited, that was a great race. Had a lot of fun calling it. It's always fun when we get to call a special tour race, especially when it gets broadcast worldwide for the world to see on Racing America. So that was a really exciting occasion as well. But certainly, Johnny Clark, he was victorious last time around. Angelo Belcito, probably, the really well, there were quite a few different contenders over the course of the 150 laps. Of course, Johnny Clark and Belcito got together later on in the race, but prior to the checkered. So I think Angelo definitely had a car to potentially win it as well that night. So I'm sure he'll be hungry again to try and redeem himself. But you had a lot of other cars that were strong contenders early on. You had Nick Lascola was leading laps early on, I believe. Dave Darling was able to work himself up into definitely the top 5 before the big one, if you will, happened off of turn 2, taking out a lot of strong cars. And a lot of the regular Seekonk drivers were involved in that, including Vinny Arnagato, who will again be running, or is at least registered to run this Wednesday. Yeah, hopefully our hometown heroes can stay out of trouble's way and make it up towards the front and put on a good showing for the local contingent. Not going to go ahead and make any calls on who I think is going to win, because I think there are many different drivers that could get up there and get the job done. But yeah, you got Dave Darling, Vinny Arnagato, who are going to take another stab at a past title, or at least a race victory. A name pops out to me. You have Derek Griffith, who I believe is coming back again, and he ran an Xfinity race since we saw him here at Seekonk. So that'll be exciting to see that driver down at the Conk this week. A lot of great drivers you're going to take to the track. Should be a fun show on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of storylines in this race, and I really think that if you look at them overall together, it's going to create one heck of a show. $10,000 is a lot of money, and a big race like this, ladies and gentlemen, this is one I promise you're not going to want to miss. It's going to be one of our top events of the season. It's going to match right up there in my head with what the playoffs is going to be like. The intensity in this race for $10,000 in the final laps is going to be real high, and that's a given, obviously, with $10,000, but it's going to be exciting. I mean, you got former Seekonk Speedway champions registered, and they're not just champions in the Pro Stocks either. Jake Johnson's a 2-time Legends Cars champion. Dave Darling, of course, an 8-time Pro Stock champion. Dylan Estrella, a 2-time late model champ at Seekonk Speedway. He's registered to compete in this race. You've got Ryan Kuhn, who is a former late model champion at Seacock, who's leading the past points right now. I did not know that up until a couple of days ago. But Ryan is leading the championship standings for the Pro All-Star Series North. He's been touring with them this year, and what a way to really cement this points lead. What better way than to go out there and win $10,000 at your home turf. So a lot of stories in this one. Big race here, $10,000 to win. And, Johnny Clark, Eddie McDonald, Angelo Belcito, Ryan Kuhn. It's a long list. So, big race. Wednesday, July 27th, $10,000 to win. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not in the local area at Seekonk Speedway, you can watch this race live on Wednesday night on flowracing.tv. Sam mentioned we had last race of the past series on Racing America. Thanks to them for their assistance there. We're going to be back on Flow Racing coming up for this edition of the past series at Seekonk. This big race is coming up on Wednesday, July 27th. $10,000 to win for the Pro All-Star Series Super Late Models. Of course, we get the past modifieds and the Nicholas Scola Racing Summer Showdown, also part of this show. You can buy your tickets in advance to this show and all Seekonk Speedway shows online at seekonkspeedway.com. Suggest you do that. You can skip the lines on race day, which is always a positive thing. You never want to wait in line, I don't think. I know that I hate lines. That is one thing I do not like, is lines anywhere, whether it be at the races, at the Disney park, at the Universal Park, at the bathroom. I do not like lines, and you do not want to wait in them if you don't have to. So, best way to avoid the line is to go online. How about that, Ryan? Best way to avoid the line is to go online, seekonkspeedway.com, and purchase your tickets. I have spoken enough here. Sam has spoken enough. Brady's spoken enough. we are done with this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind podcast series. Want to thank everybody for listening to this week's edition. We've had basically a real fun time here talking you through everything that went on over the course of this week's edition of the podcast and recapping all of the racing from Friday, July 22nd, and Saturday, July 23rd. Want to thank everybody for listening. Want to thank Sam and Brady for joining us on this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind Report. And also want to thank Ed St. Germain behind the buttons, pushing all the buttons to make sure the podcast gets out to you and the public. Thanked him for his support and his assistance to get everything out there. Join us at the Speedway, not only on Wednesday, but we've got Friday night. The Brass Friday Series returns with all 5 divisions. And Saturday, we celebrate the middle of the summer, Seekonk Speedway style, with the Midsummer Thrill Show. That is also coming up on Saturday, July 30th. The Great American Trailer Race headlines that one. That is always an exciting time. So come on down and join us for that as well. For Sam, for Brady, I am Kyle Souza. Thanks so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this week's edition of the podcast. Appreciate it very much. And tell your friends about it. Hopefully they can listen next week as well. There is nothing better than listening to Kyle Souza, Sam Tully, and Brady Couto talking about the racing at Seekonk Speedway. Absolutely nothing better. I don't know what I'd rather do than sit here and chat about it. So listen again, and so long for now. We'll see you at the track.